My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold the pen. I was about to wire my entire savings, my mother's gold bracelets, my husband's commemorative coin, the pearl earrings from my wedding day, to a criminal in another country. And I would have done it. I would have lost everything if it weren't for a young man named Thomas who looked at my face and saw something was wrong. My name is Eleanor May Whitfield. I am 75 years old. I was a school teacher for 38 years in the Richmond public school system. I taught 5th grade English. I taught children how to read, how to write, how to think critically. I was the teacher who told her students, question everything. If it doesn't make sense, ask why. And yet, on a Thursday morning in October, I was ready to hand over every valuable thing I owned to a stranger on the phone. I didn't question. I didn't ask why. I just obeyed. I live alone now. My husband Samuel passed away 7 years ago. We were married for 49 years. He was a mail carrier, walked the same route for 31 years, knew every family on every block. After he was gone, I kept the house on Maple Street. I kept the garden. I kept his old recliner in the living room, even though it's worn through on the armrest where he used to rest his elbow while reading the newspaper. I have a daughter, Patricia. She lives in Atlanta with her husband and my 2 grandbabies. She calls me every Sunday. She tells me to be careful. She tells me there are people out there who target seniors. I always tell her, Patricia, I'm not some foolish old woman. I know how the world works. I said those words. I believed them. And then the phone rang. The call came at 10:30 in the morning. I was folding laundry at the kitchen table. The caller ID said unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But Patricia had been having some health issues, and I thought maybe it was a doctor calling from a number I didn't recognize. Hello?
Mrs. Whitfield, this is Special Prosecutor James Holliday from the United States Attorney's Office, Eastern District of Virginia. I need to speak with you regarding a pending federal indictment.
The word indictment hit me like a slap. I sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs. An indictment? What do you mean? I haven't done anything wrong.
Mrs. Whitfield, we know you haven't, but your identity has been compromised. Your Social Security number has been linked to a money laundering operation. There is a sealed warrant for the seizure of your bank accounts. All of them. Checking, savings, even your pension direct deposit.
I couldn't breathe. The room felt too small. Samuel's photograph on the wall looked down at me, and I felt like I was letting him down just by hearing these words. How could this happen? I shred everything. I don't give out my information.
These are sophisticated criminals, ma'am. They don't need you to give them anything. They hack the databases. They buy information on the dark web. Right now, your life savings is one signature away from being frozen by the federal government. Unless we act fast.
Act fast how? My voice cracked. I hated that it cracked.
I'm going to transfer you to a financial protection officer who will walk you through the process of securing your assets. Her name is Officer Diane Reeves. She's going to help you. Do you understand?
Yes, I said. I understand. That word. Yes. I gave it to him so easily. Officer Diane Reeves had a kind voice, motherly. She reminded me of the school nurse I used to work with, a woman named Betty who always knew how to calm a crying child.
Mrs. Whitfield, I need you to listen very carefully. The suspects have already attempted to access your accounts twice this morning. We've blocked them temporarily, but the freeze order is still in the system. The only way to protect your funds is to move them out of the banking system entirely before the warrant hits.
Move them where?
Into a secure federal holding account. It's called a Treasury Asset Protection Vault. It's outside the reach of any civil seizure. Your money will be safe there until we arrest the suspects and clear your name.
She gave me a routing number. She gave me an account number. She told me this was all standard procedure in cases of aggravated identity theft.
Now, Mrs. Whitfield, we need you to go to your bank immediately. Withdraw everything in cash. But if you have physical valuables, jewelry, gold, coins, liquidate those too. The suspects have been known to target safety deposit boxes. Your physical assets are just as vulnerable as your cash.
My jewelry? I thought of my mother's gold bracelets. 3 of them, heavy and warm, the kind they don't make anymore. I thought of Samuel's commemorative Apollo 11 coin, the one he bought in 1969 and kept in a velvet box on his dresser for 50 years. I thought of the pearl earrings I wore on my wedding day.
All of it, Mrs. Whitfield. Liquidate everything. Convert it to cash, then wire it to the Treasury Vault. We'll secure it and return it within 72 hours. I'll stay on the line with you the entire time.
She told me what to say to the bank teller. I was to say I was helping my son-in-law buy a car. A simple story. A clean story. A story that wouldn't raise suspicion. I put on my coat. I gathered the bracelets and the coin and the earrings. I put them in my purse. And I drove to the bank, with Officer Diane Reeves still talking softly in my ear through my cell phone.
Thomas took it. He looked at it, and something changed in his face.
Mrs. Whitfield, I need you to come with me to the side office. Right now.
What? Why? I need to make this transfer, Thomas. It's urgent.
I know it feels urgent, but I need you to trust me. Please, come with me.
He came around the counter and gently took my elbow. His grip was firm but kind. He guided me to a small glass-walled office off the main lobby. He closed the door behind us.
Mrs. Whitfield, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Has someone called you today? Someone claiming to be from the government, from a prosecutor's office, from the Treasury?
I stared at him. How could he know? How could he possibly know?
Officer Diane Reeves, I whispered. She said my accounts were compromised. She said I had to move my money to a secure vault.
Thomas closed his eyes for just a moment. When he opened them, they were filled with a terrible sadness. Mrs. Whitfield, the routing number you gave me, I recognized the last 4 digits. We had a police briefing just 3 days ago. That account belongs to a known scam operation. They're based overseas. They've hit 4 other seniors in this county in the last month. One woman lost $40,000.
The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of the desk. That's not possible. She sounded so real. She knew my name. She knew my social security number. She knew about my pension.
They buy that information, Mrs. Whitfield. They buy it from data brokers. They buy it from the dark web. They know everything about you before they ever dial your number. He reached across the desk and took my hand. His hand was warm. Mine was ice cold. I'm not letting you send that money. I'm freezing the transaction right now. You're going to be okay. But you need to understand. You almost lost everything.
I want to pause the story here, right in this office, with Thomas holding my hand and the tears finally starting to roll down my cheeks. Because this is the moment I need you to understand. If Thomas had not been working that morning, and he wasn't supposed to be, remember he switched shifts? I would be broke right now. My mother's bracelets would be melted down in some overseas smelting operation. Samuel's Apollo 11 coin would be in a pawn shop in Nigeria. My wedding earrings would be gone forever. I was saved by a coincidence, a shift change, a young man who happened to know my face and recognize a fraudulent account number. Not everyone gets a Thomas. That's why I'm telling this story, because you might not have a Thomas at your bank. You might not have someone who recognizes the fraud before it's too late. Your protection cannot depend on luck. Your protection has to be you. Please share this video. Send it to your mother, your grandmother, your neighbor down the street who lives alone. Because the scam...
After Thomas stopped the transfer, everything moved very fast. He called the bank manager. The bank manager called the police. A very kind detective named Detective Ramirez sat with me for an hour and took my statement. He told me that the scammers had used what's called a spoofed phone number to look like a government agency. He told me that the Treasury Asset Protection Vault doesn't exist. He told me that I was the 5th senior in the county targeted by the same group in the last 30 days. 4 of them weren't as lucky as me. 4 of them lost everything. I went home that afternoon and sat in Samuel's old recliner. I didn't turn on the lights. I didn't turn on the television. I just sat there, in the dark, holding my mother's gold bracelets in my lap. They were still there. They were still real. I could feel their weight, their warmth, their history. They had been...
I've had a lot of time to think since that day, about how close I came, about why I believed, about what I can do to make sure it never happens again. And I've come up with a set of rules. I'm a retired school teacher. I can't help but teach. So I call these the Whitfield Rules for scam survival. Rule 1. The government will never call you about your money. Not the FBI, not the Treasury, not the U.S. Attorney's Office, not any federal agency. If someone calls you claiming to be from the government and says your money is in danger, hang up immediately. No exceptions. The government sends letters. They don't call. Rule 2. Verify before you act. If you're worried the call might be real, and I know that fear, I felt it, hang up and call the agency yourself. Look up the number yourself. Don't use the number they gave you. Don't trust the number on your caller ID. Find the real number on the real website or in the phone book. Call and ask, did someone from your office just contact me? I promise you, the answer will be no. Rule 3. Tell someone before you transfer. The scammers will tell you not to talk to anyone. They'll say it's a sealed matter. They'll say you'll compromise the investigation. That is the lie. That is always the lie. Real investigations don't require your secrecy. Before you move $1, tell someone. A teller, a friend, a family member. Say the words out loud. The scam sounds
I still have my mother's gold bracelets. I wear them sometimes now. To church, to the grocery store. I never used to wear them. I was saving them for a special occasion. But I've learned that every day you're not scammed
is a special occasion. I still have Samuel's Apollo 11 coin. It's on the mantle now, next to his photograph. Every time I look at it, I think of him. And I think of Thomas. And I think of how close I came to losing both of them, the memory and the man. I still have my pearl earrings. I wore them to my granddaughter's christening last spring. She looked at them and said, "Grandma, those are so pretty." I told her, "One day they'll be yours," because I didn't let a stranger take them. She didn't understand. She's too young. But one day I'll tell her this story. I'll tell her about the phone call. I'll tell her about Thomas. I'll tell her about the shaking hands and the fraudulent routing number and the moment everything almost disappeared. And I'll tell her the most important thing I've learned. The thing I want you to remember too. The scammers are smart. They're patient. They know exactly what to say to make your heart race and your mind shut down. But they have